band. First up from the upcoming Gossip album for Paul Kelly and the Colour Girls, a double album which comes out 28th of this month, I think it is. Gee, that's a good song, and there are 24 of them on the album, and they're all very, very good, and that one's called Marilinga. In fact, you guys can join in on this because I saw you at plenty of Paul Kelly gigs.
Yeah, they were great.
Yeah, we're great fans now.
Yeah, had you seen him before? I mean, were you converted this time around?
No, we enjoyed the Post album, but we hadn't seen him before, but just like the live gigs and that on this tour, was just blew us away.
Yeah.
The 2.5 hours performance at the Parrot just like absolutely enthralled me. It was for the whole 2.5 hours I just stood there and thought, this is really wonderful.
Yeah, they've got so many great songs.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
They play with great feel too, don't they?
I love the guitar player. Steve Connolly's just the best guitar player I've seen for such a long time.
That's a compliment coming from a pretty good guitar player as well. Our guests tonight on Aussie Rules, I wasn't actually going to start with them just yet, but they're here now, and now they're in because I saw them at Paul Kelly. I knew they'd agree. Mark on the left and Greg on the right from the Bamboos.
Good evening.
And we'll talk to them some more in just a minute. It's 29 past 8.
No, you don't.
96 FM stereo with Aussie Rules on a Tuesday night. It's 29 to 9, and our guests are two members of one of Perth's young bands, the Bamboos, who originally came up from Collie a couple of years ago. Is that right?
Yeah,
you're a Collie, and you've joined since, haven't you?
Yeah, our 2 quarters are from Collie.
It's a pretty good ratio. It's almost half, really.
We'll call it half, yeah. So, since, like in the last 3 or 4 months, since you left Perth and went on a tour with the Johnnies, didn't you?
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. Was it really?
Yeah, it was. It was something that we'd never ever experienced before. Like none of us had really been on tour, especially 16,700 Ks, which we'd done, which we did, and the places we'd played, like I hadn't never played there before, never dreamed of playing there, and
hadn't been to half the cities.
Haven't been to half the cities, and the reception we got was really good. We were pleased, and so were a lot of other people. Were quite astounded that we actually pulled dancers in a place like Campbelltown, which is really west of Sydney. Westies are out there, but it was great.
Did you find that people, because you released your cassette about the time you left, did you find that people sort of had an idea about what you were about before you got there?
For sure.
Yeah, they did.
A lot of the gigs, people were just singing along. They knew all the words to the songs, and they were yelling out songs that they wanted to hear. It was just good reception received all over the place.
The audiences are really different over there, aren't they? Like, they don't care if you're the support band. If they're there to see someone else, if you come on and you sound okay, they'll come down and dance, won't they?
They're enthusiastic from the word go.
Yeah. They demand something of you too. They tend to.
Yeah, they expect something.
They tend to want something which first up maybe it frightens you a bit, not frightens you, but it makes you want to actually put more in to please them.
Yeah,
but it makes when you get that pressure, it sort of makes it easier. It makes it as though they really want you to play, and they want you to play well. I
noticed when you first came back that you had trouble, like now you know how bands who come over here and have to deal with Perth audiences feel, because you had trouble dealing with them because they were sitting around and laying around. You're used to people running down your front and you thought, hang on, I'm home. You're supposed to be
really hard to please. There's such sterile crowds sometimes in Perth. I think they're really spoiled because there's not many bands here, and touring bands, that they can see as many times as they want during their tour, and they just sort of take it all for granted, and they don't really know what to expect.
Except at the last Shenton Park gig we did, which was my English. I've got to start correcting it. That was really good. From the first song, people danced straight away, and that was I think that's the most enthusiastic and probably the biggest audience we've had in Perth ever, and. After that gig, we were really stoked. We thought, well, Perth has come a long way in its audience. Well, reception to us anyway. So we were happy with that.
Yeah, our reception's picking up for sure.
Yeah, or maybe we're playing better as well. So.
Yeah, because that was just after you came out of the studio, wasn't it? And we'll talk to you a bit more about that. We'll have a listen to a couple of records and we'll talk to you a bit more about that, because I think you learned in the studio, didn't you?
Yeah, I learned quite a bit,
a lot of things.
Okay, well, you've just released your first single, and congratulations. It's a great step for any band to see that first little slab of black vinyl with your name on it.
Yeah, it makes it pretty
I know you've had the song for quite a while, but and we've played it on Aussie Rules on a number of occasions, but here it is, from vinyl for the first time, Virginia. the Johnnies with their Bleeding Heart song, and their album is still being held up because the cover, in fact, is very, very ambitious and involves a thing with a spinning thing on the inside with faces that fit into different heads, which are cut out of the outside of the cover. So that's what's causing the hold-up. I just can't get it all together in time. The album's been ready for quite a while, produced by Ross Wilson. It's called Highlights of a Dangerous Life and should be out within the next 3 weeks or so. That's called Bleeding Heart. And before that, the Bamboos with their debut single, Virginia. A song that, if I might say, you were reluctant to do on stage for a long time, or someone was, probably Craig, who's your singer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it was mostly him.
In fact, that can be said for 2 or 3 ballads that the band have had. Another one, I think, Partners is its name.
Yeah, we just find sometimes, like, we put extra parts in these songs, like a female vocalist, for instance.
Yeah,
and
after
our
they're
partner.
recorded.
Yeah.
Yeah, we record the songs and then they just change dramatically, and we find that we can't reproduce it live, so we just don't do it because
Yeah.
we can't do the song justice.
We don't. Yeah, but that's what we think. We can't do it justice. But the punters could be looking forward to Partner in a while because it's we're going to do it again live
Yeah.
very shortly.
Well, I notice you're doing, well, you've got to do Virginia now. It's a single that's with you for
Yeah.
the rest of your day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It's happening.
But I remember you doing it with Rob McComb from the Triffids a couple of times, who plays violin, which fitted in really nicely.
Yeah, well, that was good. Actually, for our single launch, we want to include a violinist in the song. So it's just a case of finding one that we can use. Pity Rob wasn't around still.
Yeah, who was it who played on the single? Because you recorded that song for the Cooking with George box set, and then you re-recorded it, and that's the re-recorded version, isn't it?
Yeah, we did that about a month later or something.
Yeah.
Especially for the single. His name was Neil Barclay.
Yeah.
He worked for the ABC Orchestra, who we met while we were recording Cooking with George set,
Yeah.
and that was the producer's idea.
Right, now the single's come out on the Citadel label, which is the Stems label.
The Bamboos label.
The Bamboos label as well, too.
Yeah.
Have you signed a deal with Citadel? I know they're an independent, and the guy is apparently a really good guy and really loose about sort of tying people up. He doesn't like to do it too much. Is it a long-term deal?
I think
No.
the single was either 1, 2, or 3 years. Just for that particular recording, we've got the contract, but we sort of
Don't read it very often.
no, we don't read it, and it didn't really matter to us first up. The main thing is we just wanted to get the vinyl happening. John come up to us and said, let's do it, and that was a big breakthrough. So we thought, yeah, great, let's go ahead, and well, maybe for the mini album it'll be a bit different, but we'll see what happens there.
Okay, you've mentioned the mini album there. You've spent a couple of weeks in the last month at Planet recording that.
Yeah, some long hours.
Yeah. How did it all go, though? It was obviously an experience for you.
Well, it was, especially the style in which we recorded. It was each time we've been into the studio, our engineer John Villani, who I trust very much as an engineer, he's very good. He never falls asleep at the desk. He's always going till the end. Like you're saying, John, let's go home. Let's go home.
Yeah, and everyone else has fallen.
Yeah, he's always there. He's great, and he wanted to record bass drum, kick, snare, and bass guitar, like just really basic rhythm tracks to leave the sounds wide open. And so we constructed from there the basics of all bands, like that sort of the beat.
And every other time we've recorded, it's been sort of just the band live in the studio.
Yeah, live performance.
And now it's just really, it's pretty well produced.
Yeah, I noticed when you came back and played since then that seems to have come out now in the stage performances. You seem to be thinking a lot more about your little parts rather than all just playing along.
Because like we played individually in the studio, and it just made us much more conscious of all the sounds that are going on. The actual putting together of all the sounds that make music as it is.
Yeah, it's not like just jamming in a shed anymore.
No, it's come out of the garage.
Yeah, and that's a really big step for us. It just basically building the sounds, being able to concentrate on the sounds live, and really wanting it to reproduce the sound live which we achieved in the studio is, it may be not possible in all cases, but at least it gives you certainly a onlook or an insight into what you can actually do live just by being a bit sensible with things, rather than just think, oh, this is rock and roll, let's bash it
Yeah,
out. You know what I mean?
let's
I think the bands realise there's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah, it's becoming more musical now, for sure.
So this will be a mini album.
Yeah, six songs.
6 tracks,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we're really happy about.
Any idea when that's going to come out?
We haven't even mixed it yet.
Yeah.
We've recorded it, but it's yet to be remixed in about 2 weeks, and hopefully it could be out in late November.
We would like it to come out before Christmas.
Before Christmas.
Definitely. We've got a bit of work to do on the cover, and we've got ideas, and just a case of getting that down. We're all pretty keen to get it happening, though, because it's a more recent portrait of the band rather than Snuff in Virginia, which are recently recorded but are still quite old songs to us.
It's a common problem with bands. You know,
true.
Fans, they have their old favourites and they want to be able to take them home. And bands say, no, well, we've been playing it for 2 years, and, you know, if we release it, we're going to have to play it for another year, so we want to do these new ones we keep writing. And we say, well, we want a copy of this.
Yeah, true, that's happened all along. Yeah.
But, so the mixing will happen soon. Obviously, you ran out of money and had to stop for a while.
Yeah. Over budget. Yeah, but we don't want to take any shortcuts with it, so we're prepared to sit back, work for a bit longer, and see if we can get the money together, which we think we need to get the product we think we want.
Good on you.
Which we know we want.
It's a good attitude to take.
Yeah.
It's 11 to 9. Our guests are Greg and Mark from the Bamboo, so we'll be back in a moment.
Until now.
96 FM stereo with Aussie Rules on a Tuesday night. It's 9 to 9. Is it true that on the tour you did with the Johnnies that 3 of the pubs ran out of bourbon even before the end of the sound check?
Well, it could have been very well possible, Steve, because,
do they really drink as much as they seem to?
and we helped them a lot.
I know about you, but it's them I'm worried about.
No, actually, sometimes we did get rather wild together, and other times we thought, well, there's work to be done, you know, and there's mornings that we have to get up early, so tonight we want to feel okay tomorrow.
But they are pretty keen drinkers, for sure.
Yeah, I got that impression.
Yeah,
Yeah, they are.
they almost outdrink us.
That is keen. It's never going to end. That's the B-side of the Bamboo single, which is called Snuff, another long-time stage favourite of mine anyway.
Yeah.
Come up well, hasn't it?
Well, we were pleased with it. We remixed it in the SSL board at Planet, which is like heaps better than the other mix we had with it, so we were pleased. And the new vocal, it come up really well.
Craig is getting more confident as a singer. I mean, he's a shy person, isn't he? Which is probably why isn't here now.
Yeah,
It's got a lot to do with him writing such good songs, I think.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Oh, well, he
Explain
just keeps
yourself.
within himself and just sort of thinks about writing songs all the time.
I thought when you came back from Sydney, I thought that he'd come out of his shell a bit. And possibly after you came out of the studio, he may have come out of his shell a little bit more.
Oh, he has.
Yeah,
He's really performing now.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to play his songs. You know, like it's really good. First of all, when he comes up with a song, he's a bit reluctant to actually play it to you straight away. You know? But he'll get to rehearsal and he goes, "Oh, it sort of goes like this, you know, and goes like that, and these are the chords, and you know, but." It's not until you actually play it a few times that you really appreciate it, you know. Each time the thing that surprised me was I thought, well, how's he going to better that last song, you know? And he did. He did.
He does.
And so that's what impresses me. I can't wait to hear the new song which he said he wants to rehearse on Friday. So I'm looking forward to that.
He's a prolific writer, isn't he? Because he doesn't only write songs, he writes stories and poems.
Poetry,
He sits down all day and he becomes within himself and just writes.
Just writes.
Yeah, I admire him for that.
Yeah, you've got to respect him just for that.
So your single is out and people can rush out and buy that now.
Oh, yes.
Have you had any interest from overseas at all? I mean, here you are sitting in Perth with one Eastern States tour under your belt, but I know a lot of the Citadel artists get requests for their records and things to be sent overseas.
Yeah, it's been really surprising actually. I've talked to a few people from Sydney, and another guy rang me up tonight wanting to sort of know about the band and look at the band as a management prospect, and none of them I've really sort of hinged on anyway, because I find it hard to look at management, and but yeah, the overseas market seems to have opened up a bit, like Rarer Than Rocking Horse. we've had quite a lot of orders for that, up in the 1,000, you know.
From other parts of the world.
From other parts of the world, which we were really surprised.
It was France, wasn't it? They wanted 1,000 by themselves.
They love Australian music in France.
Yeah,
don't they?
We've already got singles of the new copies of the new singles in France already.
Yeah, 500 was the first order or something.
Yeah, to France.
And like we were sort of totally well. You sort of hear that, you know. Maybe it's been slightly exaggerated through the channels as it goes along, but you know, I mean, to be exaggerated to 500 is I mean, even if it's 200, you know, that still makes us really happy about it. And because I think the feeling with the band is generally to go east, and then we'd love to go away. You know, we don't. We plan on keeping together and keep writing and keep playing like that.
Yeah, so we'll tour east for as long as it takes, but our plans are to get out of the country.
Yeah. So what are your plans now? The single's out. Are you having a launch for it?
Yeah, the launch will be on the 15th at the Red Parrot.
Friday week, yeah.
Yeah, Friday week. We'll be playing with the Greenhouse Effect and the Kryptonics. Greenhouse Effects will be playing early, and the Kryptonics, and then us will be starting about 12:15 or so.
Yeah, and you're playing this week at the Shents, I think?
This Saturday night,
Saturday. Yeah,
so
that should be good.
Yeah, we sort of tend to try to keep Perth as a touring thing and do sort of one-off shows here and there, which tend to make things more special. Which is the way I like to look at a gig, as being something special rather than something you go to every Friday like a job.
Should be a special event rather than just everyone sort of turns up at the same place.
Well, the Stems have done that with success, and it seems to be becoming more and more obvious to me that that's the only viable way to do it in Perth, because there just don't seem to be enough people.
People get sick of you really easy.
Well, there's too few, aren't there? There are too few people.
Their enthusiasm.
Well, they know they can see you. If they don't see you this Friday, they can see you next Friday. Whether, as we don't really like to give people that choice, you know. Well, and that's the truth, you know.
You come now or you don't come at all.
Yeah, we want to see everybody at every gig for
until
a different reason, you know.
Until the 14th of September.
When we'll be leaving.
Yeah, you're going off again.
Yeah, Adelaide's been booked for the 16th of September, so
we've got to be there.
So we've got to be there, I think. You know,
so you'll be trotting off right around the East Coast again?
Hopefully. We don't know about Brisbane. We've been offered quite a few gigs in Brisbane because John, a guy from the Love Inn, is in Brisbane, which we really loved the gig that we played there. Actually, we played for about 2 hours on stage that night, 2.5, something like that.
2.5 hours, yeah. It was a great gig. That was one of the highlights of the tour, last tour, actually.
So maybe we will go there again, but it's just a case of, you know, the money problem and the actual cost of getting to these places. But if the single goes well, and I'm really looking forward to getting there.
Good luck with all that. Good luck with your single. It's good to finally have it in the stores, and I look forward to hearing the mini album towards the end of the year, and I hope your tour goes really well.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, thanks, Steve.
It's great to have you in. That was Mark and Greg from the Bamboos. Just a couple of things I did forget to mention, the 2 other records we played in that set, and it was another Brisbane band called the Ups and Downs with The Living Kind, who actually do, I'm told, a really, really good cover of one of your covers, Solitary Man.
Yeah, Solitary Man.
I told that.
And I'm a bit reluctant to play it anymore.
No, we'll give it away now.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, you might be better than them, and maybe they don't want to play it.
Probably are, but...
Also, the Go-Betweens from their Liberty Bell album and Spring Rain, of course, they're in Perth next week. I spoke to Lindy in London tonight, who's a lovely lady, and they're looking very much forward to coming back to Perth on their way for an Australian tour before they head off to America. So they've been touring consistently since over last year, but they're in Perth from the middle of next week. It's 9:09.
The afternoon is now.
96 FM stereo, probably the best live band this country's ever seen. Cole Chisel from their Barking Spiders album. From his Scarecrow album, that's John Cougar and Rain on the Scarecrow, or John Mellencamp, whatever he wants to call himself these days, himself. And first up, Bow River, Cole Chisel from Barking Spiders live. At 96 FM, 9:20 with Steve Gordon on a Tuesday night in Perth. We can expect a shower or two tomorrow with nor'westerly winds and a top of 19.
Ask anyone.
9:22, 96 FM.